You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Arya, and this is your NXT audio update for Wednesday, December 7, 2016. Thank you all for listening. Wanted to kick things off this special episode of NXT with the two-thirds of the show that are from Full Sail University. We kick things off with the new NXT Tag Team Champions DIY coming to the ring. Gargano and Ciampa actually went into the crowd first and celebrated with the fans. They did get a good reaction, but it was not the same as when Bayley did the same thing last year. Before they could talk, they were interrupted by the winners of the second annual Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, the undefeated Authors of Pain. Paul Ellering announced that their prophecy has come true. The Authors of Pain are still undefeated, and DIY's celebration is a bit premature. Before Ellering could say anything else, he was interrupted by the top guys, the former champions, the former two-time champions actually, the Revival. Revival, instead of walking in front of the AOP, instead walked down a nearby set of stairs and walked to the ring. They announced that they are the true number one contenders, and said that both teams had actually advanced to different points in the tag team tournament because of them. Authors of Pain did not take count of this, as they stormed the ring, shoved down the Revival, and the former champs scurried away as Paul Ellering declared that they were the next NXT Tag Team Champions. In one of the bigger shocks, mostly because I avoid NXT spoilers like the plague, it was announced that of all people, Percy Watson is back. You might recall him from the good old days of when I was the only person who watched NXT. He was the guy who wore the red horn rim glasses all the time, had the big goofy smile, and he's not coming back as a wrestler, though. He's coming back as an announcer. Sadly, we did not get to see Lucky Cannon's robe. And sure enough, after the video package, Percy joined the announce table. In case I forget to mention it, he added absolutely nothing to this. At times, he literally just sounded like a video game wrestling announcer. Because I'm sure if you ever played WWE 2K, whatever, you've heard, the most generic one-liners of all time. That was Percy Watson. Hopefully he gets better, because I believe this is his first ever time announcing. But it can only get better from here, right? The first match saw the WWE Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Rich Swann, team with No Way Jose to take on Sanity, Alexander Wolf, and in this case, Eric Young. Ironically, Showtime Percy Watson's first match features the former Showtime Eric Young. I should point out that the first thing Watson did as an announcer was to come out and dance to Jericho's music. Noted was that Sanity came out without Sawyer Fulton. Eric Young threw down Sawyer Fulton's jacket, stomped on it, and threw it up the aisle, so I guess this means Sawyer Fulton's out of Sanity. I'm not sure if, they taped too little, but they got a lot of commercial breaks in this show. They did a commercial break after Jose and Rich Swann came out. Then the match started, and after a minute, they went to another commercial break. The heels got the heat on the Cruiserweight Champion of the World. Jose got the hot tag and Iron World on both men. He had the match won with a TKO on Eric Young, but Wolf broke it up. Swann got back in, hit a huge dive to Wolf on the outside, when suddenly this giant man named Damo appeared and shoved Jose into the ring post. Back in the ring, Young pinned Jose with the wheelbarrow neckbreaker. Damo then threw Sir Fulton's coat down again and walked away after the match while everyone was a smidge confused. Mr. William Regal was backstage and announced that on January 11th, the Revival will get their rematch, and they will challenge DIY, Gargano and Ciampa, for the NXT Tag Team Championship. However, the winners will move on to NXT TakeOver San Antonio the night before the 2017 Royal Rumble and defend their championships against the Authors of Pain. In walked Ty Dillinger, who wanted to quit, but he was cut off and told that starting next week will be an 8-man number one contenders tournament. The winner gets a title shot at Bobby Roode. Yeah, Jesus Christ, screwed that one up. The winner gets a title shot at the NXT champion, who, last time I checked, is not Bobby Roode. This is what happens, folks, when your brain just, goes out. You proclaim someone else as champion. Anyway, Dillinger accepted Mr. Regal's offer to take part and walked off, and Mr. Regal finished the interview by gazing longingly at his brass knuckles that, despite not wrestling in years and not using the brass knuckles in many years, he still just happened to have near him. That power of the punch, I tell you what. Sanity was walking backstage to their locker room when Nikki Cross stopped and gazed at the NXT Women's Championship. Asuka walked up and they smiled at each other. I think I smell our next title match for Asuka. On a side note, by the way, didn't everyone love that Asuka match last week with Nicole Matthews? Don't ask me why I bring that up. Up next, it is the former Chikara Grand Champion, your princess and mine, Kimber Lee, going one-on-one with the undefeated Ember Moon. Kimber did a great job early, pretending to be a punching bag for Ember, but ultimately she decided to get some offense in on her own. Ember wouldn't take it anymore, so she chopped Lee and snapped off a Hurricanrana. Ember ducked a kick that she was supposed to duck, eventually hit her handspring forearm in the corner, and picked up the win with a flipping top rope stunner. And good news, because I know some people out there are really curious about this, there were no awkward spots or anything that could be considered a blown spot in this match. Just want everyone to be aware of that. They announced the 4 first-round matches in the number one contenders tournament next week. The winners will square off in a fatal 4-way match. That man becomes the number one contender to the NXT title. The 8 top contenders are Ty Dillinger versus Eric Young, The Drifter versus Roderick Strong, Bobby Roode versus Oni Lorcan, and Andrade Cien Almas versus No Way Jose. After commercial break, we are magically whisked away to Delaware. Actually, we're magically whisked away to Osaka, Japan, for the main event. Samoa Joe, your reigning, defending, undisputed NXT champion for the last 2.5 weeks, defending the gold, defending the giant gold X against former champion Shinsuke Nakamura. The fans in Osaka took this very much like an American audience would, singing along with the ring announcer's introductions, and then singing Nakamura's theme song, which, again, is an instrumental and has no lyrics. They did flood the ring with streamers during the intros. I just remember when they did that in Brooklyn, at the first takeover in Brooklyn, and the security tried throwing the guys out who threw the streamers. Nakamura had the early advantage until Joe pulled the referee between them and cheated to take the advantage. We went to commercial, and when we came back, it was like they edited out in 15 minutes. Because all of a sudden, we went from 2 guys in perfect shape and not sweating, and 30 seconds later, they're on the mat. Joe has an STF on. Both are dripping sweat. Both look exhausted, and basically at this point, they went into the finish. We got 11 minutes of the match, and most of it was the finish here. It was a fine 11 minutes, can't complain. But, I probably would have enjoyed watching the full match. They did tease the Uranage on the steps that they did back in Toronto, with Joe taking up the top of the steps, but Nakamura got away with elbows. Back in the ring, Nakamura hit the knee to the back of the head, and then hit a Kinshasa with a surprising win. Surprising just because you expect to see a main event match in WWE means everyone kicks out everyone's finisher 6 or 7 times, and it's just a series of dramatic near falls. While this really was a house show match, I mean, it was a little better than your average house show match, but ultimately it was just a house show match. Nakamura wins the title. The fans go berserk, and the king is dead. We have a new king of NXT, same as the old king. But before the show could completely go off the air, we were informed that Samoa Joe will not be waiting to take his rematch. Next week, on this very show, in that ring tonight, Samoa Joe faces Shinsuke Nakamura for the NXT Championship inside of a steel cage. Bum, bum, bum. Well, thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you again in 7 days.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.